The Young and the Restless spoilers shock the breaking point. Tessa and Mariah's struggle over Ian Ward. Tessa Porter was no stranger to turbulent emotions, but recently, her thoughts had been a whirlwind of confusion and conflict. Ian Ward, the enigmatic and controversial figure who had entered her life, presented himself as a beacon of hope and understanding. His calm demeanor and persuasive words had struck a chord with Tessa, making her question everything she thought she knew. Mariah Copeland, her wife and the mother of their daughter, Aria, saw things differently. To Mariah, Ian was dangerous, a manipulative cult leader who thrived on exploiting vulnerabilities. She couldn't fathom why Tessa couldn't see through his facade. "Tessa, you don't understand who you're dealing with," Mariah said one evening, her voice filled with urgency. "Ian Ward is not a good man. He's dangerous, manipulative, and he's already causing problems between us." Tessa shook her head, her frustration bubbling to the surface. "You don't even know him, Mariah. He's been nothing but kind to me. Maybe you're the one who's refusing to see the truth." The rift deepens. Their arguments grew more frequent and intense. Mariah pleaded with Tessa to step back and see Ian for who he truly was, while Tessa accused Mariah of being close-minded and overprotective. The tension between them was palpable, and the love that once brought them together now seemed overshadowed by doubt and mistrust. The breaking point came when Mariah decided she couldn't take the risk any longer. "I'm taking Aria, and we're leaving," she said firmly. "I won't let Ian get anywhere near her." Tessa's eyes widened with disbelief. "You're taking our daughter away? Just because of your paranoia?" "It's not paranoia, Tessa. It's reality. Ian Ward is poison, and I won't let him destroy our family." The words stung, but Tessa's anger quickly flared. "You think you're protecting her, but all you're doing is tearing us apart." The slap that changed everything. The argument escalated, voices rising as emotions boiled over. Mariah turned to leave, but Tessa grabbed her arm, desperate to stop her. "You're not taking Aria away from me," Tessa yelled, her voice trembling with fury. Mariah yanked her arm free, her face hard with resolve. "I'm doing what's best for her, Tessa. You're too blinded by Ian to see what's happening." In a moment of raw emotion and frustration, Tessa's hand flew up, and she slapped Mariah across the face. The sound echoed in the room, silencing both of them. Mariah stood still, her cheek reddened, her eyes wide with shock. Tessa's own expression shifted from anger to horror as she realized what she had done. I didn't mean to," Tessa stammered, reaching out, but Mariah stepped back, tears welling in her eyes. "You just proved my point," Mariah said quietly, her voice breaking. "This isn't you, Tessa. Ian has already gotten to you. I don't even recognize you anymore." The aftermath. Mariah took Aria and left that night, leaving Tessa alone with her thoughts and a crushing sense of regret. The slap was more than just a physical act, it was a symbol of how far they had drifted apart, how much their love had been tested and strained. Tessa sat in silence, her mind racing. Was Mariah right? Had Ian truly influenced her so deeply that she couldn't see what was happening? Meanwhile, Mariah, though devastated, felt a sense of resolve. She knew she had to protect Aria, even if it meant walking away from the woman she loved. She hoped that Tessa would come to her senses before it was too late, but she couldn't wait around and risk Ian's reach extending to their child. Has Ian Ward brainwashed Tessa? The signs were undeniable: Tessa's unwavering defense of Ian, her dismissal of Mariah's concerns, and now, the violent outburst. Ian's influence was subtle but powerful, preying on Tessa's insecurities and offering her a sense of belonging that she didn't even realize she was craving. For Ian, this was his modus operandi, drawing people in with charm and persuasion, then isolating them from those who cared about them. Tessa's actions suggested that she was already deep under Ian's sway, but her remorse after the slap hinted that a part of her still recognized the gravity of her choices. The question now was whether she could break free from Ian's grip before it was too late. A love on the brink. Tessa and Mariah's relationship had weathered many storms, but this was unlike anything they had faced before. The slap marked a turning point, a moment that could either shatter their love entirely or serve as a wake-up call for Tessa. For Mariah, the priority was clear: protect Arya and wait for Tessa to find her way back. For Tessa, the path forward was murky, clouded by her conflicted feelings about Ian and her own actions. Would Tessa realize the truth about Ian Ward before losing Mariah and Arya forever? Or would Ian tighten his grip, pulling her further into his toxic world? One thing was certain: their love, though tested, still had a chance to survive, if Tessa could find the strength to break free. The custody battle, Tessa versus Mariah. The fallout between Tessa Porter and Mariah Copeland had reached a boiling point. What began as a deeply loving relationship had devolved into a battle for custody over their daughter, Arya. The slap, the arguments, and Ian Ward's dark influence had created a rift too wide to mend. Now, both women were preparing for a grueling legal fight that would determine not only the fate of their marriage but also who would be granted custody of Arya. The legal complexity: no biological ties. The custody battle was not a simple matter of biology. Arya was the biological child of another woman, adopted into Tessa and Mariah's family. Neither Tessa nor Mariah shared a blood connection with her, which added a layer of complexity to the case. Legally, the courts would have to determine who could provide a more stable and nurturing environment for Arya. Mariah, who had carried the bulk of parenting responsibilities, believed she had a stronger case. She had been a consistent caregiver and was fiercely protective of Arya, especially when it came to keeping her away from Ian Ward. Her argument was that Tessa, influenced by Ian, could not offer a safe or healthy environment for their daughter. Tessa, on the other hand, saw things differently. She argued that her bond with Arya was just as strong as Mariah's and that she had as much right to custody. With Ian Ward promising his support, Tessa felt emboldened to fight for her role as Arya's mother. Ian Ward's involvement was a ticking time bomb. He promised Tessa that he could help her win the case, using his manipulative tactics and access to legal resources to tip the scales in her favor. However, Ian's support came at a cost. His growing influence over Tessa only solidified Mariah's argument that he posed a danger to Arya. "Ian can help me," Tessa told a close friend, her voice full of determination. "He understands the system, and he believes in me. I'm going to fight for Arya, no matter what it takes." But Mariah was equally resolute. "Ian Ward is dangerous," she told her lawyer. "He's manipulating Tessa, and I'll prove it in court. Arya deserves to grow up in a safe environment, and I won't let Ian get anywhere near her." The courtroom drama. The custody case quickly became a high-stakes battle. Both Tessa and Mariah presented their arguments passionately, each claiming to have Arya's best interests at heart. Mariah's lawyer emphasized her stability and dedication as a parent. They pointed to Tessa's recent behavior, including her association with Ian Ward, as evidence of her unfitness to care for Arya. Tessa Porter has aligned herself with a known cult leader, a man with a history of manipulation and exploitation, Mariah's lawyer argued. This is not the kind of environment a child should be raised in. Tessa's lawyer, with Ian's backing, countered that Mariah was using Ian as a scapegoat to discredit Tessa. Ms. Porter has demonstrated a deep and loving relationship with Arya, the lawyer said. There is no evidence that Ian Ward has posed any threat to Arya's well-being. The courtroom became a battleground of emotions and accusations, with both women fighting tooth and nail for custody. Witnesses were called, character assessments were conducted, and the judge listened intently, trying to determine who could provide the best home for Arya. The judge's decision. After weeks of testimony and deliberation, the judge delivered their ruling. They acknowledged that both Tessa and Mariah had strong emotional bonds with Arya but ultimately focused on the environment each could provide. The court recognizes the love and commitment both parties have shown toward Arya, the judge said. However, the child's well-being must remain the top priority. Based on the evidence presented, the court finds that the influence of Mr. Ian Ward raises significant concerns about the stability and safety of Ms. Porter's home. The ruling granted primary custody to Mariah, with visitation rights for Tessa under strict conditions, including no contact between Ian Ward and Arya. Aftermath: the cost of the fight. The decision left Tessa devastated. She had fought for Arya with everything she had, but Ian's involvement had ultimately worked against her. Mariah, though relieved to have won custody, was heartbroken by the toll the battle had taken on their once loving relationship. Tessa's alliance with Ian Ward came into sharper focus as she reflected on the case's outcome. While he had promised her victory, his reputation and influence had done more harm than good. For the first time, Tessa began to question whether Ian's support had been worth the cost. A love torn apart. The custody battle marked the end of Tessa and Mariah's relationship. Their love, once strong and unshakable, had been eroded by mistrust, anger, and the devastating influence of Ian Ward. Now, they were two people living separate lives, bound only by their shared love for Arya. Tessa faced a choice: to continue down the path Ian had laid out for her or to find a way to rebuild her life, free from his control. For Mariah, the priority was clear: protecting Arya and moving forward, no matter how painful the journey. The courtroom may have decided the case, but the emotional scars left behind would take much longer to heal. And for Tessa, the question remained: was Ian Ward a savior, or had he been her undoing all along?